Hello, everyone. We are resuming our live coverage of Budget Debate 2023, and Elson and I are going to take the next maybe 5 minutes or so to discuss a few issues. Elson, there have been
Yes.
many instances
Yeah.
where speakers from the government benches have been deliberately avoiding
Yeah.
the addressing of the
Yeah.
key issues
Yeah.
in this budget, and they've been hiding behind this plan, this plot
Yeah.
to attack
Yeah.
the AP and
The
UAFC,
opposition. Yeah.
while avoiding addressing critical issues
Yeah.
such as, for example, the gas to energy
Mhm.
program, the cost of which has tripled from $700 million to $2.1 billion US,
Total cost.
without anything having happened yet,
Yeah.
including studies, and avoiding as well the whole question of a mile, for example,
Mhm.
which started out as a program that would reduce electricity costs at the rate of
Yeah.
5 US cents per kilowatt hour. And that too has tripled to
Yeah.
15 cents per kilowatt hour without any work being done.
Mm.
Um, why do
Yeah,
you
well,
suppose this is?
One of the things I throw as a laugh to hear, Merv, is that it seems to me that they desperately don't want to talk about the budget. They've been sent here to comment on the budget, but they're trying their very best not to talk about it because it is very difficult to defend a budget in which you don't have a whole lot there for the people of Guyana in terms of the benefits. That's, I think, the jumping off point today. And so we've seen, even from the Minister of Business, talking about, going deep into history to try to attack.
Oh, yeah.
To try to attack the coalition.
Oh, yes.
Pretty
Completely
far.
different circumstances.
Completely different. The context is totally different. The people involved are totally different. But they got to talk about something. When it comes to the gas project and these types of projects, that pipeline started off with about $300 million cost. Now we're hearing about $1 billion for the pipeline alone.
Yeah.
And you add on the power plant and so on, it's quite a substantial cost.
Absolutely no reference to studies, whether
Yes.
it's environmental studies, economic
Well,
studies.
we've called for an updated feasibility study because, and I think every Guyanese can understand this. If you're going to go out and buy, let's say you're going Germans and get some soup, and you show up and the soup is 3 times the price that you expected to pay, you take a second and you consider, well, maybe I should go and get some KFC or something,
Yeah.
But we don't do that in Guyana. We just pay.
Or maybe hold it up.
Yeah. Take a second, reassess. So we've been saying.
And there's absolutely no reference to the cost of the distribution infrastructure.
Yeah.
There's only the gas to energy issue.
Yeah.
And then we have seen some instances of blatant lies, absolute flat out lies. We saw Pauline Sukai yesterday. We heard her talking about the PNC not having done anything at all for Amerindian land titling. When in fact, Amerindian land titling began under Prime Minister Burnham's tenure.
Well, here you go.
When Prime Minister Burnham is the person credited with establishing the Amerindian Lands Commission.
Yeah.
Almost immediately following independence.
Yeah.
When that land commission was the one that visited all these indigenous communities and made all of its recommendations with respect to where title should be granted.
Yeah.
And when in fact it was Prime Minister Burnham's administration that in 1976, beg your pardon, in 1976 titled more than 60 villages and 2 districts, and it was President Hoyt's administration in 1991 that titled another 10 villages and 2 districts.
Yeah.
And what people don't know, Elson, is that it was Mr. Hugh Desmond Hoyt as a young attorney at law who represented the interests of the indigenous peoples at the Land Commission, at the Amerindian Lands Commission.
Absolutely.
So how could Pauline Sukai stand there and say PNC did absolutely nothing for land, for indigenous land? And how could MP Lee Williams stand up and say that it was President Hoyt who gave people less land that they wanted? The Land Commission's recommendations were accepted and acted upon by the government of the day. And while the expectation of the villages had to do with lands traditionally occupied and used, it could well be that the Amerindian Lands Commission took a perspective that said lands currently occupied and used.
Yeah.
And so there may have been a little
Well, you know,
variation there.
the crux of it, I think, is that they're kind of bringing up all of these issues to kind of distract from
The
the
real
fact
issue.
that they don't want to talk about this budget. They're trying desperately not to talk about this budget. And the easiest thing to do is to try and aim an attack here or aim an attack there, even when the attacks are easily rebutted. And so we saw again. Minister was it Teixeira been speaking about Amalia as
Yeah.
well. One of the things that's always funny about Amalia Falls is when you talk about the distribution line.
Right.
Man, to get from Amalia Falls to Georgetown is a long way.
But even
It's a long distribution line.
even the
Yeah.
closest point
Yes.
to Amalia
Yes.
for the distribution of electricity
Yeah.
is the municipality of Madhya.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing in the plan
Yeah.
that will allow Madhya,
Mhm.
a new
Yeah,
municipality,
to benefit.
to benefit from the
Yes,
electricity
it's not
supplied by
even in
Amalia.
that plan. I believe the idea is to bring electricity all the way from Amalia straight to the Sophia Distribution Center, which is
It
still a
has
good
to
distance.
be a very, very tall bill.
I mean,
involved
that
in
is
that.
right across the entire breadth of Guyana, viewers. If you're aware, that'll be coming all the way that'll be from Region 8 all the way down to the coast.
And viewers may be interested in knowing that Madhya is in the center of
Yeah.
Guyana's landmass.
Yeah.
So, and
yeah,
of course,
it is crazy that they're not considering a place like Madi, which is very much nearby and would be one of the ideal spots.
yeah.
But that's the way that they plan. That is to say, the absence of a plan, and as a result, you end up in all sorts of really, I think, ridiculous scenarios. We're going to hear as well in some of the speeches coming up some of our proposals regarding dealing with manufacturing and creating jobs, which of course the lower electricity costs are geared towards those types of things. So you're going to hear the opposition leaders speak on some of those areas.
But before we get to the opposition leader in the brief
Yes.
time that we have, I'm anticipating MP Valda Lawrence's presentation, which is up next.
Yes.
And I am almost certain that MP Lawrence will be dealing apart
Yes.
from the economic issues.
Sure.
I'm certain that she's going to, or I expect that she's going to be addressing this whole question of
Yeah.
the social security
Yes.
area. I believe that the Ministry of Social Protection, what is it called now? Human Services, I believe
Yes, I
it is
believe.
called,
I believe so.
is woefully inadequate,
Mm.
is miserably mismanaged,
Yeah.
to the extent that the employees of that ministry are asking for the minister to be removed,
Mm.
for the minister to be replaced. And MP Valda Lawrence has a history of being
Yes. On those
an
types of
advocate in
issues.
those areas,
Yes, exactly.
and she also served in the area as a minister.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that we will be hearing from her
Well,
in that regard.
you would like to think that the government will use this opportunity now that we've got the revenues coming in, the country's growing, to totally reassess our social assistance programs. They, of course, one of the things they don't want to talk about is that they've increased the social assistance from 14,000, the public assistance from 14,000 to a grand total of 16,000.
Grand total.
Grand total. So what's that? $500 a day, something like that. I don't know if you know many people that can live off of $16,000 that are in need, but that's what they're offering.
I don't know that any of them are sitting or occupying any seats on the government benches. I also, like you, share the view that the leader of the opposition, Honorable Aubrey Compton Norton MP, will be addressing
Yes.
alternative measures to this budget,
Exactly.
that he is likely to present maybe not just an alternative broad picture, but perhaps even policy-related positions
Yeah, there will
on
be
specific areas.
very robust measures that will be presented, bearing in mind the tremendous growth, bearing in mind the revenues, bearing in mind where we want the country to go. What are the needs that we need to answer? And of course, keeping at our center of focus the people-centered
People-centered
vision
approach
that
to
we
to
have.
governance.
Yes, for our country. And as a result, you're going to see a lot of initiatives that give you a sense that all Guyanese will be able to benefit from these types of policies, as opposed to the friends, family, and favorites that the PP seems to be focused entirely on.
So really, we want to encourage viewers regardless of which side of the political divide you sit, regardless of which side of the political divide you support, you embrace, we ask you to objectively look at the next two presenters from the opposition benches, Honorable Walter Lawrence, MP, former Minister of Social Protection at one time and former Minister of Public Health at another, and the leader of the opposition, Honorable Aubrey Compton Norton, MP, as they make their presentations, particularly the leader of the opposition, who is widely believed to have an approach that says, we are an alternative government. Here are the alternative policies that we wish to propose to the people of Guyana, and so that you, viewers, can be the judge as to which of the two political players in this game have your best interests at heart, have your success, your prosperity, your security at heart. And so we want to urge our viewers,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure that Elson would like to add here, to listen to these next two presentations and to make an informed decision on the politics, the political outlook, the economic outlook, the social outlook of this country moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think viewers should very much look forward to these presentations. I'm sure they're going to be very interesting and dynamic, and they should give you a sense of the Guyana that could be, not just the Guyana that is. PAP seems to be totally focused on treading the same paths, the same ideas, nothing new, nothing special, nothing inspiring, and certainly nothing that will lead us down a path to really be able to fully capitalize on the changes to our economy. You'll see quite the opposite in these presentations, and in particular, leader of the opposition will sketch out for you a vision that I think you'll find very appealing.
I want to make reference to something that Gail Teixeira said in her presentation. She said that she said our people, I don't know what she means by our people, but she says our people will always want more. And we, referring to the People's Progressive Party, will give them what we believe they deserve. And so here is the most seasoned campaigner for the People's Progressive Party saying to you, our citizens, that they will sit in a cold room someplace, determine what you deserve, determine what you want, and determine to what extent they are going to satisfy what you are calling for. It is, for me, extremely disrespectful. It is, for me, condescending. It is, for me, a demonstration of the thinking of the core center of the People's Progressive Party as they look at and treat us, the citizens of this Guyana, this country Guyana, with disdain, with disrespect.
Well, I put it another way. I would ask viewers to ask themselves, what kind of an attitude does someone saying that our people will always want more convey to you?
It's condescending.
I mean, that strikes me as the last thing you should be saying. You should be saying it is our duty to provide our people with more, not our people want more. That's like the opposite attitude. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we will give them what we think they deserve.
Yeah.
I don't think I would say that.
That's not the kind of line that
Yeah.
I or any sensible Guyanese will vote for.
That's not. As we young people say, that's not cool. How can you say something like that?
Absolutely not cool.
Yeah, we will. I mean, if you're going to say something, you should say what they deserve, not what we think they deserve.
Exactly.
That I think frames it.
But it also
Yeah.
concretizes the fact that the People's Progressive Party is so disrespectful to the citizens of this country that they continue to take the posture that they are not going to engage with anyone, with any organization, with any set of elected representatives of anybody in this country, but they will determine
Exactly.
what anyone or any group should get.
Well, I would even carry it further and say that kind of an attitude, I think, would explain the budget that you have right now.
It does.
Right? Which is a budget which really ignores the primary crisis, which is the cost of living crisis, which really gives minimal amounts to people when you add everything up that in terms of direct benefits, 1.7% of a huge budget, 782 billion. That attitude, I think, very closely explains why you don't see the types of substantial benefits that many Guyanese were looking for. And we remind Guyanese that this budget is 41% bigger than last year. Last year was 44% bigger than the previous year. And that the country grew 60% last year, 25% this year expected. Big numbers, folks, but not big benefits for you, ordinary.
I put it just a little bit simpler than that, Elson. This budget ignores 95% of the people of this country
Ignores.
and focuses
Yep.
the pouring out of resources into the pockets and bank accounts of the 5% rich in this country,
Absolutely.
which will continue to sustain, hopefully, the People's
Absolutely.
Progressive Party as
That's
as an
their way of thinking, and that would explain why they never mention the word inequality. And if you notice, they never say it, and they try to avoid talking about poverty. It's because they want to keep the system as it is, funneling the funds towards the friends, families, and favorites, and away from the average Guyanese, even in a time when there's really a desperate need across Guyana for some sort of focused assistance and thoughtful policy making.
And again, symptomatic of the problem is commuters being greeted at the Demerara Harbor Bridge with a very insulting digital sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this comes under the purview of the so-called bishop, man of cloth, or is he man of straw? I don't know. But here's this massive digital sign greeting commuters.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
and here is the level of disrespect
Yeah.
that is being demonstrated at that level, and that is being reinforced at the level of the National Assembly from the speakers of the government benches.
Well, you know, some people would say it's ironic that that sign has come up now that the budget debates, at least this leg of it, is closing off. Some would say it's appropriate that that has come up given the nature of the budget that we've been presented with. But it is very sad to see that we can't seem to have control of basic national infrastructure to the point that we have people posting obscenities.
Yeah.
Or anyone could see it, whether it's a small child or your auntie on her way to work, she's gonna see that. You know, really unfortunate, and we understand that there's an investigation ongoing, but I don't know where that's going to lead.
Well, it's quite interesting, but this, in my humble view, is a budget which will cause the people of Guyana to reject once again the People's Progressive Party and to reject them in a resounding way when the next elections shall have arrived at whatever time it does. So, Elson, it was wonderful having this chat, but we have to go back to the floor of the National Assembly right
Absolutely.
now, where Valda Lawrence, Member of Parliament, will be presenting on behalf of the APNU AFC. Thank you very much, viewers. Stay tuned. Over to the floor.